This is another poem dedicated to the hostile environment which our rulers have introduced to tell us that our problems are caused by immigrants and refugees and not by government cuts and government policy. And it's inspired by the millions that the same government spends on arms. In this poem it's mostly aeroplanes, the massive bombers which cost millions and are used for, well, bombing countries, and also aeroplanes are used for deporting people who have tried to escape from war zones that have been bombed. And also aeroplanes are used for importing food from other areas where cash crops are grown for export rather than food grown for the people doing the growing. Cash crops like coffee and mange tout. So there's not much land left for people to graze their cattle or grow food that they can actually eat. So anyway, it's all tied up in this poem, but it was inspired by the sight of food being dropped in a famine area, and a small child with her parent trying to get the food. And I was struck with, when you get an invading army camped in the desert, an American army or a British army, they don't have to fight for food. They don't have to queue. There's no problems. Plenty arrives and is provided. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. But when poor people of the world need support, then somehow, it's just far too expensive. We can't afford that. So anyway, I wrote this, and it's called Children's Fiction. And the fiction is spelt Fixion, as a reference to the cruelty meted out by our rulers on the innocent. Children's fiction. A small child walking barefoot with her mother, though not through poppy fields, but over frozen mountains to claw for bread, let fall 1,000 high-tech miles by a roaring god. A small child too tired to play with dust and shadows, settling in sunlight in its wired world, waiting with 1,000 others, wanting to live, when nowhere in this whole wide world would be convenient. A small child going travelling once more, waiting to be taken, sent away, elsewhere, anywhere but here, in a four-engined, so expensive, sound barrier blasting god, supped full of lives. A small child with her family, such a threat to you and me, trapped by razor wire and razor laws, herded into flimsy boats to drown at sea. A small child, smiling, barefooted, brown, stumbling in furrows behind the plough, soft earth crumbling between toes in warm gold sun, coaxing the green and youthful corn to grow and bring its hope into the world, and watching its golden promise boxed, choked in cellophane, to be roared away to distant tables by a foul-smelling, well-fed, benevolent god, whose shadow roars across stripped valleys, left to play with dust and paper promises. A small child, in a bed somewhere, anywhere, filled with pain, its beautiful body broken by bombs, hunger and laws. A small child, hammering at the world's door, closed to tiny fists. A world crossed so easily by roaring shadows, each shaped so much like a crucifix. Thanks.